Well, hello, my people. STEM to Roots. This is your host, Mike Demba. Today's short story is a special one. In fact, so special, I decided to suit up in my favorite blazer. I went to my closet and I grabbed my best just for this. All right. Put it this way: if you like it, all right, show me that you like it by liking and subscribing. If you don't like it, if you don't, just comment. No, first subscribe, then comment. Mike, you can do better. How about that? All right. Thank you. We made a deal. So every day, every single day, right? Hundreds of Africans travel away from the continent, as tourists, migrants, students, and many other reasons, right? So they find themselves at this new settlement that requires them to adjust, okay, and make changes, sometimes drastic ones, right? Frankly, at times, life altering, like huge, big changes. Like I said in that first story we shared, and if you've not listened to it, please go back to the last episode. Um, these are necessary changes. So, therefore, this is by no means a complaint at all. All right. I just hope my story gets to someone just so they won't need the level of luck I needed that fine evening of August 29th, 2006. Yes. This is just 2 years after I arrived in the US as a student. After all these years, knowing what I know now, I encountered a life and death situation. Totally oblivious about what was going on, or at minimum jail time. And if by now you're thinking, I'm just being a drama queen, hear me out. Here's what happened. It was my big brother's graduation. All right, my big bro Solomon Demba. He had his army basic training at Fort Jackson. This is in South Carolina, where he graduated. Company name, and he told me these things because I already forgot. Company name was Bravo 3, 13th Infantry Battalion, and I'm giving these names just in case people that know the army, they can point out that this is actually facts. Um, the day before his graduation, I flew into Charlotte, North Carolina, to meet a very good friend of mine, Sam Mendy, who left Africa 5 years prior to my coming. All right. So he already came here, he already had experience, he already learned the culture, the system, just how things are done in the US 5 years prior to my coming. Thank God for that. And you'll find out why. So early that morning, we made the hour and a half drive to attend the ceremony and the festivities at the base where Solomon was graduating. So at the end of that day, on our way back, I don't know, for some reason, Sam decided to let me drive. All right. Again, this was my second year here. I got my driver's license already, but I lived in Boston where we had public transportation and I didn't need a car. So I was not driving. I had a license, but I was not driving. Okay. And, frankly, I was just too broke to even own a car. Okay. So Sam decided that he would let me drive. So, I said, okay. I was excited to drive. We hit the highway as we were driving. About 15-30 minutes into the drive, I see a cop right behind me, and I see the blue lights that everybody will dread on the highway. We lights all over, just blinding lights right behind me. Um, First, I had no idea what that meant because, mind you, I've not even driven enough to be pulled over. So that was my very first pullover here in the US. And so Sam, who, at that time was, a master, I think he was pulled over a bunch of times, told me exactly what I needed to do. Yeah, so um, I pulled over to the side of the street. This is not the street, the highway. Um, And as soon as I pulled over, this is exactly what happened. Relying on everything that I know in such a situation, my instincts picked up all the system that is kind of ingrained in me. All I knew to do was what was gonna come out of me. And here was what I was gonna do. First, I attempted to leave my seat, but before I left, what I mentioned that made Sam realize where I was headed was what saved me. What I mentioned to Sam was, yo, bro, um, I don't have anything with me to give him. And if you're wondering what I mean or what I meant then, you will find out. I said, bro, I don't have anything with me. And immediately, because he's a Gambian, he knew what I was talking about. He said, what do you mean? No, don't worry about that. You cannot give this guy anything. All you will give him is what exactly he asked for. In that very moment, he was so confused by my thought process. Within 45 seconds, Sam gave me the most valuable lesson one can teach a black man in this country, America, in such a situation within 45 minutes. He taught me to stay put. He taught me that there should not be any sudden movements, to keep my hands where they can be seen on the steering wheel. He told me to only respond to what they asked me respectfully, to announce everything that I'm about to do, even if it's something that the cop asked me to provide. For instance, where's your driver's license? I have to let them know it's in my back pocket and I'm going to reach for it, and I have to ask them if I can. He taught me in that 45 seconds that if they needed the registration, it's in the glove compartment, and I have to let them know first and ask them whether it was all right to open it. In 45 seconds, all those lessons were taught, and I had to learn all of that within 45 seconds before the cop got to my window. See, before Sam's lesson, every action that I was about to take was exactly what I knew to do. All right. So I come from a different country where the system is different. So first of all, where I come from, the way you get pulled over mostly is, at a checkpoint. We call them a checkpoint, where a cop will station themselves somewhere on the highway. And when you get to them and they need to pull you over, to call it that, they will point at a direction where they want you to go stop. And when you do, what you needed to do at that moment is the cop is the one in authority. So right away, what you know to do is gather everything that you're supposed to gather, all your documentation, and meet them. Get out of your car, go meet them where they are, so that you'll have that conversation that needs to be had. Or if you get pulled over, right, there's no danger there between you and the cop. The cop won't feel any sort of danger coming from you. Totally different system. Just thinking about this right now, if Sam didn't teach me that valuable lesson right there, what I was gonna do, first of all, was bribery. I was already looking for something to give this cop just in case they come over to the window. I thought what was the right thing to do, maybe the wrong thing, but what I was used to doing is this unspoken agreement from my system, from where I'm from, where a cop, without mentioning it, blame it on the system. We're not here to talk about why, there is that level of corruption where I come from. I don't have all the time in the world to talk about, government's responsibility and all that stuff, and like how cops are not paid. This is not the time for it. But for whatever the reason is, there's this unspoken agreement where easily you end up bribing a cop to escape such a situation, because sometimes you're pulled over for no reason but that. It's unspoken, but you both know, you and the cop, because you don't want to waste your time. You have other things to do. So that instinct would have led me behind bars if I attempted with my little $20, because I don't even think I had enough money to bribe a cop and get away with it. I was broke. I was a student. I didn't have anything. First of all, it's not the right thing to do. You don't attempt that no matter how much money you have. That's one. But that was what came to me. And this is what we face as immigrants, because these are not things that anybody teaches you. You have to face them first. But that's just one thing. The other thing is my danger, this life and death situation. After being here for this long now, for what, about 19 years now, I know well not to be pulled over by a cop. And I reached for the glove compartment before they get there, reach for my pockets before they get there, get out of the car to walk over to them before they even get there, because that will get me killed. And these are the things we face. And this is why, in this short story segment, among other stories that I will bring up, these are the kind of things we have to adjust to fast. But it doesn't stop there, because once we make these adjustments, we end up having to visit home, because that's where we are from, right? And the fact that no matter how long you stay here in the US and change and adapt and kind of switch over to what the system calls for and demands here, you still have to go home. And when you do, things have not changed enough for you to maintain your US ways. Immediately, you have to be aware of where you are and change. For instance, if I go to Gambia right now, get pulled over by a cop, I can just sit in my car and wait for him. He will feel disrespected. He might give me more trouble and waste my time more, because he thinks he's the one in the authority at that moment. He can stand right over there and wait for me to come over to him. So this switch back and forth is what we go through as immigrants, because you live in two different systems. And that's my story for today. I got many more coming. And like I said, if you have similar stories, if you have anything that you want to share that you think, is aligned with these stories that we are sharing, please reach out to me. Let's arrange a way for me to share your story here too. Thank you for listening. Till the next one, I got more stories. Till then, don't leave without subscribing. Peace.